Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
This island is pretty much full of only two things: snakes and rats.
The fake dead grandmother could easily go down as the dirtiest thing ever to be done in this game.
I am the king, and I am back.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich.
Direct from Hobart, it's now time for the only dedicated radio show in Australia devoted to the hit TV show Survivor, bringing you the latest news and the biggest interviews from the king of reality television. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's only Survivor radio show and podcast, the number one TV and film podcast in Tasmania, and Australia as well, not just Tasmania, Australia. Ben, got to plug it out there. As we come to you once again for a Survivor Juan Del Sur exit interview, we have a chat just about to happen with last week's eliminated contestant, Jon Misch. Very excited to chat to Jon, one of the big characters, of course, from the season, and a lot, no doubt, for him to say. But before I bring him in, as always, shameless plug time. This is the opportunity for you to head to SurvivorOz.com if you haven't already, if you're listening to this episode via a service such as iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Stitcher. If you head to SurvivorOz.com, and you will see our full finale preview by Noah Groves. Does a magnificent job there. You will see his thoughts on what's going to happen tomorrow's finale, as well as a few videos from last week's Jon arriving at Ponderosa, the final words the next day, previews of the episode. No spoilers, completely spoil free, so don't be scared that you're going to get spoiled on what's going to happen in the finale, because we don't even know either. So survivors.com, you will see that straight on the main homepage, or if you're listening to this a little bit later and want to read it anyway, if you click on the interviews tab at the top, you'll see a little drop down menu will pop down, and you will see exit interviews. Click on that and you will find the Jon Misch one there. Speaking of Jon Misch, it's time to bring him on to Survivor Oz right now. Eliminated last week from Survivor Juan Del Sur. Please welcome to the show, Jon Misch. Jon, welcome to Survivor Oz.
Well, thank you. I guess I'm happy to be here, although the circumstances could have been better.
I'm sure you'd rather be here maybe in a couple more days rather than today, because I think that's when you'd want to be talking to the media, you know, after perhaps winning the game, I guess.
Definitely. That would have been a little better circumstance.
How is it, I guess, I suppose, recovering from it? I mean, you've obviously got to wait deep into the season to see the episode where you get eliminated, and kind of, no doubt, wanting to know a little bit more about, say, Natalie trying to get you out and all the behind-the-scenes things that perhaps you've been wanting to see. Is it a hard wait, having to wait this long to see it all?
Yeah, it's been really hard, actually, because, you know, this whole time you're kind of playing in your head, like, what could I have done differently? But it's kind of interesting watching the edit, because you get to see all the pieces of the puzzle that you didn't see while you were out there, you know? So, obviously, I had no idea that Natalie was plotting against me for so long, and had I had any inclination of that, I would have seen this blindside coming, but instead I'm on TV looking like I'm completely clueless because I wasn't.
Well, I mean, for a viewer, it's great, blindside, as we always love those. But, I mean, for yourself, was it a true blindside? Did you go into that tribal council really having no clue that you were going to be going that night?
Well, I had a feeling. Jaclyn and I had talked a few times about whether or not we should be trusting our alliance at this point, because we knew this was a good time for them to flip on us and to vote me out. But we were talking about it so often and getting so frustrated by it that the last conversation that we had before Tribal, I basically said, you know, listen, we need to decide, like, Tribal coming up right now, and we need to just make a decision. What do we feel in this moment? And at that moment, our decision was that we felt like we could trust our alliance, and that Missy would, mostly what made that opinion come was that we didn't feel Missy would lie to me. We didn't feel like she would blindside me. So that didn't go our way.
Clearly. I mean, I guess kind of this is the beauty of a Blood vs. Water season where you play with your loved ones and kind of, it's this added element. Do you feel that with Jaclyn there, that with kind of these conversations that you were just mentioning, it leads you into overthinking things a little bit sometimes? And perhaps if you're by yourself, maybe you would have been able to just kind of make that solo decision, maybe that night play an idol or something like that, and you don't have to worry about Jaclyn obviously being there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. It's kind of like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Like some good, some bad. I think it's possible that we could have been overthinking it because, just like you said, because it's a couples one where we have that person to talk to about things. But at the same time, I'm not sure earlier in the season if things would have been going my way had Jaclyn not been there, because we were dissecting every move that we made, and we had so much time to talk about it. So I think it's a pro and a con at the same point, but that's what makes Blood vs. Water such an exciting game.
Exactly, 100% agree. And look, John, the question you've no doubt been asked 30,000 times in the last 7 days, why didn't you play the idol?
Man, I keep on asking myself the same question. It's terrible. Honestly, the only thing was that I could not believe that Missy would blindside me. I just the show didn't even show how well Missy and I were bonding out there. We had a very strong connection. We had a spiritual connection. We would pray together constantly, and we would constantly be talking about how trusting in this alliance between me and her was the same as trusting in God. And I didn't feel like it was just a game conversation when she said that. I thought this was like real. This was more than just being in Survivor, and I could not imagine her going back on that. But in watching the edit, I can understand, I can sympathize with why she did, because her daughter was there saying, support me, Mom. I need your support. I'm your daughter. This is like a guy that you just met on Island a month ago. So in that moment, though, I could not fathom that there would be anything that would make her waver. So bit me in the butt, didn't it? Again.
Well, I guess it kind of, going back to watching how it all played out, I'm sure when you get voted out, it's sort of, who backstabbed me, it hurts, Missy did this, but then I suppose in watching it, as you were saying, like, we saw that whole scene where Missy flat out is like, no, I'm not voting for Jon, She obviously didn't vote for you until the tie, so does that kind of bring a little bit of closure for the fact that you saw her really not wanting to do it?
That's exactly what it did. It brought a lot of closure to the situation, whereas I may have been holding on to something before that, but once I saw how hard it was for her to actually decide to go through with this blindside, I kind of realized that I did put my trust in the right person. It just may have not been the right circumstance. If this had not been a Blood vs. Water season, and Missy and I were in an alliance together, I don't see there being anything that could have made her waver on that decision to support me. But this was Blood vs. Water. Her daughter was there. She got to support her daughter, and just like I said, Blood vs. Water brings so many more elements into it. Some of them are good. Some of them make it harder. And that's one of them that makes it a little harder.
Very much so. I guess also a question. I mean, had, say, Keith gone last week and yourself and Jaclyn are still in the game, I mean, was there kind of a plan from this point? I know in speaking to Josh and Reed, they sort of mentioned had they got this far, they might have sacrificed one of themselves so the other could go far and possibly have a shot at winning. Was that something that had crossed yours and Jaclyn's mind, to maybe sacrifice one of you so the other could win?
That's actually what we were kind of going for. Jaclyn and I our agreement with Missy and Baylor and Natalie, what we were talking about was that the final three would be myself, Missy, and Natalie. And Jaclyn and I had talked, and she kind of decided that she was going to support me. She felt like I, at that time, had a case that I could give to the jury that they would vote for. So she was kind of going to sacrifice herself for my game, which was extremely nice of her, and I constantly was thanking her for it, but it ended up being that I was the guy out that people thought they needed to get rid of, So But I was so proud of her when I was leaving. Just the fact that she was out there, I knew she'd be out there on her own, and I knew 100% that she could handle it. And it's very cool to be able to go through that with your my now fiance, but
Yes.
at the time my girlfriend. It's just something that really brings you together. It makes you know something about each other that you didn't know before.
Well, congratulations, I should say, on the engagement. Of course, we saw that on social media throughout this season. That's fantastic. And I mean, one thing I will say with Jaclyn, I mean, here at Survivor Oz, a lot of us here, we're very much rooting for Jaclyn. We've become big fans of hers throughout this season. I think she's impressed a lot of people, especially considering her edit early on kind of suggested she was going to be a very early boot. But she's come full circle. You guys, were so dominant throughout periods of this game. I mean, I'm guessing you are obviously extremely impressed with how Jaclyn's handled herself out there in this season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was so impressed with the way Jaclyn handled everything. I mean, even coming into the tribe swap, it was actually incredible because so often, they don't really show it too often, but when Jaclyn and I would pass, we kind of have this, 1 second little 2-word thing that would go on when we were on different tribes to try to let each other know what's going on. And so many times she actually looked at me and she said, I don't know if I'm going to be here next time, because it was an all-guy alliance over there, kind of taking out the girls. And the fact that she made it to a tribe swap, and then the fact that she was so, she was more of the strategizer between the two of us. Is that a word, strategizer? I don't know if I made that up.
Well, we'll make that one up. It works.
She was, yeah, there you go. She was the one that really made sure that everything was working. And if an idea that I had wasn't working, she would call it out right away. And she, with the thing with Josh, she said right away, I don't think that these guys really want us long term. I think they're using us for this one vote, and I think we should go with Jeremy for this one. So I ended up blindsiding Josh because of something that she called out, and I think she was very right. So it's cool.
Well, we'll see. Fingers crossed how that all plays out. Now, before we let you go, John, just quickly, I have a listener question here from Blake Allen. I love this question. He says, do you think your goofiness around camp, like singing Aladdin, helped, hindered, or had no effect on your social game?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually feel like it actually helped me a lot, especially earlier in the game. When it was just Hunapu, when I was on Hunapu, it kind of got me off of the radar, whereas Jeremy, being this very stoic, very stern person, was right away seen as the leader of this tribe. And where Drew was this guy who, people didn't really like the way Drew was acting. With my goofiness kind of put me out of the picture for a bit. And said, okay, well, we don't need to worry about that guy. He's just playing in the sand right now, or whatever he's doing. So I actually do feel like my goofiness had something to do with myself not being seen as such a threat in the very beginning.
There you go. That's the key, people. Be goofy and you will go far. Thanks, Blake. And thanks, John, mate. Really appreciate your time here. Best of luck. Enjoy the finale, obviously happening in basically a day. We're going to be seeing you on the reunion and no doubt looking forward to how it all plays out. Appreciate your time on the show. And we look forward to getting you back on the show. We'll get you back on, no doubt, after the season's finished. We'll have a longer, more in-depth chat about your time on the show.
Sounds great to me. Thanks a lot for having me, Dan.
And there we go, Jon Misch. Fantastic chat there. And as always, we appreciate his time. And we'd like to thank CBS and Channel 9, of course, for making these exit interviews a possibility. Now, quick little close out here, giving you a few updates and some housekeeping matters. In terms of our finale interviews, we are very lucky to be doing them a day after the finale, basically almost in line with the US for the first time all season. So we're very much excited with that. So Friday Australian time, we will be interviewing 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and the next Tuesday we'll be interviewing 5th. So I'll be putting a post out not long after the finale for you to get questions in for the final 4, and then we will post questions for our 5th place getter next week. So in the meantime, if you've got any specific questions maybe you want me to put to any of the final 5, get them into me early. Why not? Win, lose, 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th. Doesn't matter where they finish if it's maybe not related to their finish in the game. Would love to hear from you there. But stay tuned to our social media pages, Facebook, Facebook and Twitter for you to get those confirmed. And just a couple of other housekeeping matters too in terms of our finale coverage on Survivor Oz. Oztopsy will be happening 10:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Now that will be on at the same time as the reunion is being showed on Go, because the finale has been showed an hour earlier at 8:30 on Go on Thursday this week on Channel 9 and Win. But we still will no doubt be on air at 11:30 after the reunion. So if you want to miss the first hour, we're just going to no doubt be recapping the finale and then talking a little bit more about the season, looking ahead to season 30. More importantly, our finale recap. We are so excited for this. We have joining us to recap the final episode and the season in general. Pretty much a Thailand mini reunion. We have the legendary, the king, the god himself, Brian Heidick, joining us with Tanya Vance, and we look to also have Clay Jordan joining us as well. First time that Brian and Clay have been together in a very long time. So if you've got questions to Brian, to Clay, to Tanya relating to this season in general, or maybe a few Thailand ones, why not? We'll throw it open to those. Get them into us, survivoroz@hotmail.com.au, or see the post on our social media pages as well. Also, a quick plug, our Christmas episode, live Christmas episode next Monday, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time at 11:30 a.m. That is Sunday night for our American listeners at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have a huge variety of guests joining us for that, and we hope you can join us. That will go for a couple of hours. You can join in live or wait till the thing gets posted later to download it. Subscribe to us, Survivor Oz, on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. Please leave us feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, make sure you do follow us on all social media services. Until we next speak again, thank you for tuning in to the Jon Misch Exit Interview. My name is Ben. The tribe has spoken. We'll speak to you next time on The Trains.